Hey, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing? I wanted to share something with you all that's it's a big accomplishment for me. Today, November 12th, marks marks 16 years sober. 16 years ago, I took my last drop of alcohol. Um, a lot of friends that might see this video that knew me back then and knew that I would drink, and they saw me drinking socially, but they didn't see what happened behind. I used to be in a very dark place, and I would drink for. At first, it was socially. At first, it was just to be accepted, to be a part of the group, so forth. We'd go to Juarez, we'd go to clubs here, bars here, all over the place. I started drinking probably. I think it was probably like at the age of 19, and right out of high school. And again, at first, it was socially, used to be like in the in crowd, right? Be accepted, and so forth. Um, but then after a while, um, it got to a point that it became an addiction. Okay, and I actually was drinking for the wrong reasons. Even though everybody saw me happy, we would go to the clubs, bars, whatever. Everybody would see me happy. Everybody would see me, you know, always with a big old smile. But in the inside, I was actually dying. In the inside, I was killing myself. In the inside, I was down, and I was drinking because of depression. Never thought I would be good enough um, for anything, for anyone. Um, um, I always thought that at that point that I was no good. That no matter what I would do, I would never be good enough for anyone or anything. That I was just taking up oxygen, taking up space, and that's what kept on going in through my head um, for a very long time. And I would drink, and like I said, everybody, that knew me, and people are gonna be shocked when they hear this, but I was actually an alcoholic. I would drink every day to get home from work, or to go party with my friends and would drink and whatnot. But then after that, after it was over, time to go home, I would continue. I would continue to drink, and to the point that towards the end of me drinking, I had turned, and it was crazy because we were at I remember being at I think it was like a wedding or a quinceañera or something like that, and somebody hands me a bottle, and I'm like, "What's this?" And they said, "Try it," and I did. I put it in my soda and everything. And I started drinking it, and well, that was Everclear. And for some of you guys that know what Everclear is, it's pretty much rubbing alcohol. I mean, it's almost 100 proof. If not, probably is 100 proof. And that's what I was drinking towards the end. I was drinking Everclear. I would hide it with soda, with whatever. But I was drinking to fill that void that was missing inside of me, inside of my heart, to fill that void, to fill that loneliness. I was always around people. I've always been around people, around family, around a lot of friends. I'm blessed to have tons of friends, a lot of family, a lot of people that love me, but yet I still felt alone. I still felt, for some reason, I felt ashamed. I felt alone. Um, it was just very dark. It was very, very, very dark. And I remember sometimes drinking to the point that I wouldn't even know what would happen. I remember a while back. I remember one of the times I think I was with a bunch of friends, and I had dropped them off. I was in my truck, and I was still drinking, and I was drunk. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was drunk, and I remember um, getting in my truck, and supposedly I was gonna drive home, um, and I ended up waking up at a bar in Deming. I drove myself there. I don't know how I got there, but I drove myself there. Um, I remember the bartender said he was about to call the cops because I went in, asked for a drink, and then I passed out. And I asked him, when did I get there? Who was with me? He goes, "No, you came in by yourself." And he goes, sat down like a few minutes ago, and you just passed out, but then you just like jumped up like, and I freaked out. I thought, you know, I probably hit somebody, I probably wrecked. And I remember going and checking my truck, and nothing, not a scratch on it. So I was freaked out. I remember driving back home, scared, not knowing what the heck I did, or what did I do. And even then, yet I would still drink. You know, I mean, I didn't drink that night anymore, obviously, but throughout the course, I would remember I would drink, and it got to the point that, I mean, for me, drinking was more of a downer. There's a lot of guys out there that get beer muscles, that get alcohol muscles. They want to fight the world. For me, I'm always constantly hyper. So when I would drink, it was more of a downer. It would bring me down. It would yeah, it would just bring me down, right? You know, I'd be observing everybody, and not down as depressed, but like it would slow me down, I guess, since I'm always going 100 miles an hour. I guess it would slow me down, and I remember vividly saying, I'm probably not gonna reach the age of 30. I'm probably never gonna see my 30th birthday. Oh well, that's life. I remember having that attitude. I remember having that I mean, and it's sad. And you know, now that I think about it, it's sad thinking that I was probably gonna die, and I probably would have. I'm not gonna lie to you. Depression is something very serious, and it's something that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. I didn't, honestly. I didn't. I wasn't aware of the help, of the resources that were available. Um, I thought that, you know, if I got help, or if I tried to find help, that would make me that would make me less of a man. So I didn't ask for help. I didn't look for help. None of my friends at that time knew what I was going through. My family didn't knew. They were just aware that I would drink a lot, and I would drink heavily and very, you know, a lot. Um, and but you know, you sometimes have to reach rock bottom, or you sometimes have to hit that point. And I remember vividly, November 12th of 2002, at Clicks Billiards, just drinking at the bar by myself, saying that I was no good, that the world would be better off without me, that I should die, and I had made up my mind that night I was going to commit suicide. I was going to, until I heard a little voice in my left ear, and at that point I thought it was my subconscious mind speaking to me, and it just states, and it says, "Wow, Louis, you keep complaining about your life, that you haven't done this, that you haven't done that, that you haven't accomplished this, that you haven't accomplished that, that you don't have your degree, you don't have this, you don't have a family, you don't have a house, you don't have, you know, I mean, all kinds of stuff, right?" And all of a sudden, that little voice speaks to me, and it tells me, "Well, let me ask you something, Louis. Can you change it? I know you can, but let me ask you, can your dad change it for you? Can your mother change it for you? Can your sister, your niece, your dog?" And all of a sudden it says, "Louis, if you don't change it, it's because you don't love yourself enough, and you don't love anybody else out there enough, that your death and their loss means nothing to you." And that resonated in me, because I only have one sibling, and she's 7 years older than me. And after, from what I understand, is after my mother gave birth to her, she got really sick, and, you know, got some operations done and so forth, and had to. And from what I understand, they had told her that, you know, for her not to risk having another child, because either she could pass, the child could pass, or both. And well, she wanted a boy. She wanted a son. And 7 years later, she risked her life, and you know, I'm here. I was born healthy. She was fine. I was fine. So at that moment when I was at Clicks, and that little voice, my subconscious mind, tells me, if you don't change it, it's because you don't love yourself enough, and you don't love anybody else out there enough, that your death and their loss means nothing to you. The first thing that popped in my mind was them, was my mother and my father. That they both, my mother risked her life, my father risked his wife to have me, to bring me into this world. And I was going to repay them by them burying their own son? No, no. I had to stop. I had to put an end to it. And at that moment, I remember jumping off the bar stool, grabbing my drink, throwing it in the trash, and I took off running to my truck. I was just crying like a little boy. I was crying. I was just like, I don't know how to do this, but I need to do this. I remember getting my phone. Back then, it was all, everybody had flip phones, right? So I remember grabbing my flip phone, and I started deleting numbers. I started blocking numbers and so forth, because I knew that the only way that I could accomplish this was changing my playground and changing my playmates. So I knew that if I were to continue going to the bars and the places that I was going to, there's no way that I was going to be able to get out of that bondage, out of those chains, right? Because the temptation's there, right? The drinking's there. I mean, the alcohol is accessible to me like in an instant. So I knew I had to make a change. I knew I had to do something different. So I knew I had to pull myself away from those situations, from those places. But I also knew I needed to change my playmates, meaning friends, family members. I had to pull away from them, because I knew they were not going to understand that what I was going through and what I was trying to accomplish. That instead of helping me, they were going to be more hindering me. Like, come on, man, I already bought you the beer. I already bought you the whiskey. I mean, come on, I can't believe you're not going to drink, with me. Oh, you're that kind of guy now. All right. Or you're this, you're that, and they were going to mock me. They were going to try. They were going to try to be a roadblock, not, I guess, intentionally, just because of the fact that they wouldn't understand what I was going through. And so I figured, why am I going to subject myself to that when I can be in a positive environment? So, which at that point, I was looking for that positive environment. And I remember that day, November 12th of 2002, I made a decision. I made a decision. And when you hear the word, or when you see the word decide, it's got the syllable of a pesticide, suicide, which states to put to death all other options. So that day, that evening, that night, I put to death all other options. I said, that's it, I'm done. I'm not drinking anymore. That's it. And my journey began. But what was crazy is the obstacles that get thrown at you. Whenever you want to do something better, whenever you want to go forward and better yourself, there's always going to be attacks, right? And at that point, I'll be honest with you, I knew of God. I didn't have a relationship with him. I would go to church whenever I felt like it. And for the most part, when I would go to church, I would make sure I would sit either on the way back, or I'd get there like when it had already started. So I would be not even the seats, I would be standing by the door, right? Kind of like one ear paying attention, the other ear like not really paying attention. I remember back then those flip phones, so there's no, be on your phone on Facebook or anything. That stuff didn't exist. So it was just there, just sitting back, or falling asleep half the time, or being by the door, and just seeing everybody that's walking in, walking out, and oh yeah, all right, whatever, hey man, yeah, all right, yeah, and you te presionabas, whatever, and that was it, right? And I knew of God. Did I have a relationship with him? No. And the enemy knew that. right? So I wasn't spiritual. I wasn't nothing. You know, I was just, I knew of God, but that was it. And that day I decided to get better. I decided to change my life. And it's crazy how right away the enemy starts attacking. That the following day, um, the news hits me that somebody very close and dear to me um, was hurt, um, was very hurt. And, and I wanted to take matters into my own hands. I wanted to take justice into my own hands. And I really was looking forward to it. Well, I don't want to say looking forward to it. I was looking to do it. Um, uh, the gentleman that caused the pain, I knew who he was, where he lived, where he worked, what he drove, and I would follow him. He never knew. Um, and I wanted to take justice into my own hands. And again, my subconscious mind starts talking to me, letting me know, hey, you know, how are you going to help her if you're behind bars? There's no way you'll be able to help her while you're being locked up. And that was a good point, and it's true. So I just let it go. I don't want to say that I forgave him, because I didn't, for what he did. But I just kind of like let go, I guess. And which I could have easily done something. I could have easily gone back to the bottle and started drinking. I could have, but I chose not to, because I had made that decision to put to death all other options. And so, you know, as you go forward, as you go through life, you will have obstacles, you will have challenges, but you'll realize and you'll notice that um, you need to be bigger than those obstacles. You need to be bigger than those challenges, right? So, one of the things that I learned years later, you know, I started going to church. I really started focusing on going to church in 2006, and I didn't understand what was having a relationship with God until about 2008, when I made the decision to change and really follow God. So I remember on I remember giving my life to God in 2008, and it took me till 2009 to realize that that little voice in my subconscious mind, right, at the bar, at Clicks, and also at the at my that little voice in my subconscious mind that was talking to me, telling me how are you going to help her if you're locked behind bars, was not my subconscious mind. Actually, it was God. It was the Holy Spirit. And even though in the times that I did not deserve his grace, I did not deserve his love, I did not deserve his mercy, I didn't have a relationship with him, I didn't care for him, honestly. It's sad, but it's true. I guess I kind of turned my back on the church, on God, on, you know, and I just did me. And so, I mean, everything was flowing, you know, work, money, all kinds of stuff were coming at me like left and right, really good. Why? Because, I mean, I didn't have God in my life. I didn't have, you know, I was, I was just going through the motions, right? I was just going through it. And, again, I didn't have God in my life. So I just, you know, I was on a straight path to, you know, with the devil. But as soon as I changed, as soon as I made a decision to change and to follow God, man, challenges. Why? Because the devil knows, wow, wait a minute, I'm losing you. I'm losing you. I had you, and I'm losing you. You know, and so this message is to, you know, really to give you hope. It has nothing to do with, oh, look what I did, because no, I didn't do this, right? It was God. He's the one that did it. This is all to give him the glory, all him to give him the praise, and to hopefully encourage somebody out there. Hopefully encourage one of you guys that, You might be going through a situation of some kind of addiction. You know, again, this is me just sharing with you my testimony, my heart, and I hope it reaches somebody. I hope it helps somebody. But remember, don't lose faith. Always focus on God. Always focus on Him. Give yourself to Him. I'm telling you, if it wasn't because of His grace, His mercy, His love for me, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't. It's just, it's so amazing how even though I did not have a relationship with Him, He still loved me. He still fought for me. He was still banging on the door of my heart, tearing down those walls, tearing down that door to get into my heart. That's how much He loves me. And then that's how much He loves me, that's how much He loves you too. So again, this is just to encourage you, to help you. Again, please, this is not about me, about what I did, because I didn't do this. I did not do this. He did it. God did it, not me. Not me. He just decided to use me, right? And again, just this is, I hope this encourages somebody. And remember, God loves you. God died on the cross for you. He died on the cross for you. No matter what you did, no matter how many times you did it, He died on the cross for you, and He would do it completely again. He would do it again for you right now. Remember, He loves you. Okay? I love you. Have a blessed life. Cherish the people you love. Cherish your family. Just cherish them. Love them. Never stop telling them how much you love them. God bless you.